Arcimoto stock analysis. So in this video, guys, we're going to talk about Arcimoto stock. So this stock is one of the craziest, I guess, trading patterns I've seen in a while. So there was actually recently a $13.50 offering on this stock, which actually caused the stock to drop a bit. And after that, it continued to race much higher. So it's currently trading at around $18. And this is another one of the three-wheeled EV stocks. So in the previous videos, I've talked about Aero, and then before that, I talked about Solo. So Arcimoto, this is another concept car that's kind of revolutionizing the way people use transportation, and they call their vehicle the FUV, that stands for Fun Utility Vehicle. So guys, let's get right into it. Before I get into this video, please smash the thumbs up button if you enjoy my content. So let's head over to their site and take a look at these vehicles. So once again, they're the whole three-wheeled concept, and this is a concept that we've seen become really popular kind of in the EV space. These cars are much smaller, they're much cheaper to produce, and they can serve multiple uses. So as we see here, they call their vehicle the Fun Utility Vehicle. It starts at around $17,900, so around the similar price as a Solo or something like this. You guys can take a look at this car. Now the nice thing about this car, it does have a top speed of around 75 miles per hour with 102-mile city charging range. So pretty good overall metrics, guys. And as you can see here, we take a couple look at the cars. They actually have some other cars. So as you can see here, they have one called the Deliberator. This is obviously for deliveries. And then they also have another concept car that is kind of for first responders. So you know, people like firefighters and people that are in emergency situations. So they also have this one as well. So let's take a little bit closer look at each of these vehicles. They're really interesting. It's been performing really well. It's currently sitting at just over a 500 billion. The company is sitting at just over a 500 million market cap. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so as you can see here, there are basically three products that I mentioned earlier, the Fun Utility Deliberator and the Rapid Responder. So the FUV, that's just kind of a vehicle for, you know, civilians and just regular use. As you can see here, the vehicle is basically made to sit around two people, and you can use this vehicle around the cities and things like that. It's basically good for, you know, city trips and things like that. And it's basically their main vehicle. That's the one they're pushing. So they have a goal to produce around 50,000 of these vehicles over the next couple of years. And once again, you know, at first I thought these whole three-wheel cars were outrageous, but seeing that there's so many companies that are coming up with them, and these companies have quite a few pre-orders. There's a lot of pre-orders for the Solo. Aero has a lot of pre-orders for their concept car, and as well as Arcimoto. They say the pre-orders keep increasing quarter over quarter. So we're going to start seeing a lot more of these vehicles, believe it or not, in everyday life, starting just as soon as next year. So that's why a lot of these stocks are popping right now. A lot of people are kind of waking up to the fact that the way we transport around major cities is going to change tremendously this decade, and this three-wheel concept car is definitely going to be a money saver for a lot of people, a lot cheaper than a normal electric car, and also, you know, saves a lot of space, just more economical and just easier to park, and a lot of different things, a lot easier for some people to manage. Okay, so now let's take a look at the second type of FUV called the Deliberator. Okay guys, so Deliberator, this is kind of the their version of a local delivery vehicle for the FUV, and this one is basically just good for, you know, making deliveries around the city and things like that. And one of the differences is that there's a big hatchback on the back that's made especially for delivery, so it's just supposed to basically make it easier. And as we can see, you know, ever since the pandemic, you know, food delivery and things like that, delivering packages, is on the rise, and I don't expect these services to kind of just shut down right away. We're going to see a lot more people using the ease of use of delivery services in the future. So this is one of the vehicles that Arcimoto is producing in order to kind of fulfill that demand. Okay, and the third and final vehicle that they're producing is called the Rapid Responder. So this is one of the more interesting vehicles that I've seen. This is actually the first company I've seen that's actually come out with a vehicle that's specifically designed for things like firefighters, and you know, people that have to respond to emergency situations very quickly. So as you can see here, Okay, so as you can see here, it's basically just the same version as the FUV above, but just made for things like firefighters, police departments, local police departments, EMTs, stuff like that. So apparently it's supposed to be a really, really efficient electric vehicle. And, you know, a lot of, I would say first responders use much bigger vehicles right now, but using smaller vehicles can kind of help first responders access certain areas that are much harder to get to and deliver the emergency treatment and protection that people need. So I think this is a unique selling point for Arcimoto. I really haven't seen any other company doing something like that. So I think this is a really nice kind of offering that could kind of give them access to a much bigger market. So as we can see here, here's a testimony. It says in 2019 responded to more than 40,000 emergency calls. A large number of those could have been better service using Arcimoto's rapid responder. So we're extremely proud to be the first firehouse in the world to deploy this cutting edge vehicle. So, you know, people are starting to adapt it and, you know, adopt it. And it just really sounds like a good way for the business to kind of diversify. So they already have their personal vehicle, they have their delivery vehicle, and now they have a vehicle servicing the first responder market. So now guys, I'll give you guys a breakdown of the FUVs that they sell. Now let's take a look at the latest quarterly report and see guys how much money they made in Q3. So if we head over here, I actually found this on businesswire.com, and here's a report of the Q3 2020 earnings. So obviously the company didn't deliver too many vehicles. They only delivered around 31 in September alone. And according to the report, the whole pandemic situation kind of slowed things down, but they did team with DHL to kind of help deliver the vehicles much faster. And also want to talk a little bit about the recent stock offering that took place on Friday, Friday, November 21st. But I just want to finish up this report. So as you can see here, you know, they've done really, really good, I think, strengthening the balance sheet. As you can see here, the CFO said revenue surpassed every prior full year, and our balance sheet is the strongest it has been in the company's history. So the good thing about this company is that they did see a massive increase in revenue. Revenue for the third quarter was 683,000 compared to 33,000 the same period 2019. That's about 20 times more revenue year over year. So really outstanding numbers. And if you can see here, it says from September 19 to September 2020, they produced about 136 vehicles. So like I said, production is moving up slowly, and revenue is almost 20 times. So, you know, it looks like they're approaching the $1 million mark. So I think there's a lot of long-term potential for this company, and they're holding around $17 million in cash. So right now they're taking pre-orders on a lot of these vehicles, and I expect some good things. Now I want to talk about the recent offering. So literally about like a couple of hours before I was producing this video, they just did a recent stock offering at around $13.25 for over 1 million shares. And this is expected for some of these smaller companies. They're definitely going to use the stock prices going up a lot. You know, this past week has been a huge week. I would say basically November in general has been a massive week for these EV stocks. So a lot of these companies are going to do offerings. So that's exactly what Arcimoto did. And it only affected the stock price in the short term, and right after that the stock price soared much higher. So now I'm going to give you guys my future price target on where I think this company could be in the future, and some ways that you can play this stock. Okay, so here we are back on Robinhood. So right now, as of making this video, the stock is around $17.50, which would put the market cap just around 500 million or so. So revenue was up 20 times year over year, and they're planning to produce about 50,000 of these vehicles. So they didn't really explain the kind of the total order value that will be. So I'm going to do some quick math to give you guys an idea of where I think this order value could be worth. Okay, so I just went ahead and put the numbers in already. So we saw that the starting price on the website was around $17,900, and they plan to produce around 50,000 vehicles. So the quick math would put the total potential revenue over the next couple of years around 895 million, and currently the stock is trading at around market cap of 576 million. So a lot of these stocks are going to be trading at a price to sales ratio of perhaps maybe 5, 10, or 15 times annual revenue. So if they plan to bring in around 800 or to 900 million over the next couple of years, right now that would make the stock currently undervalued, because we wouldn't expect this stock to trade at a price to sales ratio of less than 1 for long. So let's be conservative here and say that the company is going to trade at around twice its total revenue. So then that would give us a conservative estimate. I would say a fair price for this stock right now would probably be a market cap just over $1 billion, maybe $1.5 billion, which would mean that I have a potential stock price of around, say, $40 or so. So the reason why I give that stock price, obviously I believe that this company is going to be worth a lot more. I expect a lot more pre-orders to come in, and there's lots of different uses for these types of vehicles. Of course, you have the first responders. There's a lot of fire departments, local police departments all over the United States. You got a lot of delivery companies that need to switch their vehicles. And I think, you know, this whole three-wheel thing, I think it's going to catch on. It's going to be like a domino effect. So I think a few people are going to buy them, and then once people see how useful and cool and much cheaper they are than a normal four-seated car, I think you're just going to see an explosion of them. So I think a fair price target for Arcimoto stock is around $40. That would be a market cap of just around 1.3 to 1.4 billion, which is a little bit more than the current projected revenue over the next couple of years at around 800 to 900 million. So there's a lot of upside in the stock at this price. I think it's really undervalued, and that's what you're seeing with a lot of these EV stocks in general. They're undervalued simply because I think people are hesitant to change with the times. You know, electric vehicles, not everyone is going to be purchasing a four-seated car. A lot of people, I've been reading a lot of your comments, guys, and you guys have been saying that a lot of these three-wheel cars are weird looking, that they're ugly and things like that. But just have an open mind and realize that these companies have pre-orders. So people are not buying these cars based because like they're the best looking vehicle out there. They're buying them based on their practicality. They're buying them based on the smaller size. It makes it easier to handle, makes it easier to park, makes it easier to just manage in general. And they're buying them because this is exactly what they need. You know, having a four-seated car for every, you know, use is just, it's impractical. It's not logical, where different people have different uses. So just like we have motorcycles and we have scooters, we have bicycles, we have all these different types of ways of transporting three-wheeled vehicles. There's a niche for those too. It's not like everybody that gets into a car needs to get into a four-seated car. So having a two-seated three-wheel car, I think this is going to catch on really nice. I really like Arcimoto. I think the stock is still at a good entry point. The fact that that offering provides like a lot of support for the stock. So the fact that they were selling about over 1 million shares at $13.50, I think that's a safe base. So perhaps the stock will probably perhaps fall a little bit more. We usually on offerings, the stock price tends to kind of dip down a bit, but I still think it's a strong buy right now. So that's my projection, guys. I would say around $40. Put this market cap over $1 billion. I think that this is definitely $1 billion company, and I would say by next year I wouldn't be surprised if this stock doubled or more. With long-term upside, you're probably looking closer to $40 or $50 within the next 2 to 3 years, assuming that price to sales ratio stays around 5 to 10. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video on Arcimoto. If you want me guys to cover any more EV stocks, please let me know in the comments, and enough of you guys thumbs up the comment, I'll be sure to make a video on it. So that's until next time, guys. Take care.